What is up? GoodMicWork commentaries back at you with a short impromptu commentary that I really wish I didn't have to do. Horrible news coming out of the wrestling world today. Most of you probably know by now this news is several hours old. My Twitter blew up with links and stories to this, and I was kind of busy at work, but I'm home now and I have time to put up a quick little video giving my opinions on this. Paige's WWE in-ring career appears to be over. This is horribly sad. She has not been cleared by WWE doctors, and according to the stories that are out there on the websites right now, she was informed that she will not ever be cleared to wrestle again by those doctors, which basically means that her in-ring career, at least in the WWE, is over. It was only a month ago at a house show, I believe, in Long Island. It was like a 6-woman tag, and she was kicked in the back by Sasha Banks when Sasha, I believe, was sitting on the top rope. There was video that was actually shot of this by a fan, I do believe. I'm sure you can find it on YouTube, but she was kicked right in the back. Her head kind of snapped back a little bit, and she landed very hard on the mat. And when she tried to get up and get to her feet, she simply couldn't. Her arms looked like spaghetti. Somebody on Twitter said that she looked like Bambi on ice, and that's exactly what she looked like. Really struggled to even crawl around on the mat. Very scary. Referees immediately stopped the match, got her some medical attention, and the early reports were that she was probably going to be okay. The belief was it was just, like a mild stinger or something like that, something that a lot of wrestlers go through. But don't forget, she was out for nearly that whole year because of a neck injury as well. So the story has now come out that she was informed at this past week's TV on Monday that she would no longer be wrestling. And that is unbelievably sad. They are comparing her situation to what disqualified Edge medically from competing in the ring, same type of thing. Very long-term danger of spinal damage in this type of situation. Paige is only 25. How heartbreaking is this? That at 25 years old, she's going to essentially have to retire. And Edge at least had a 20-year career. A lot of other people with similar injuries also wrestled for a long time. But this is pretty serious, and I don't know, kind of like the Daniel Bryan situation, there's been talk of him getting back in the ring again at WrestleMania. I don't know if this is even going to have any sort of effect on him. Maybe WWE's like, we just cannot risk these type of injuries, even though Bryan's is more like concussion-related. But this is spinal cord and neck stuff, which is equally serious and equally as dangerous. And this is an absolutely horrible stroke of luck for Paige. I know Paige has been in the news a lot in the last couple of years. She's been suspended twice by WWE for wellness policy violations. She got in a very horrible and toxic relationship with Alberto Del Rio, and then when he left WWE, she joined him on the road during her injury, and they were getting in a lot of trouble. They were drunk all the time, probably doing a lot of drugs, making ridiculous videos, just really kind of embarrassing themselves. And it was an unfortunate time, I believe, in Paige's life. She has moved on from that. They're no longer together. She seems like she has her shit together, not to mention the horrible released sex tapes that came out of Paige and several WWE stars as well. She's had a very traumatic life in the past couple of years, and it really felt since her return a couple of months ago and forming Absolution that she was back on the road to recovery, so to speak. She had gotten her shit together. She's got her head screwed on straight. Her priorities are set. She's focused. She's motivated. And I couldn't be happier for her. I was happy to see her back. And we really saw how much the women's division missed somebody like Paige, because you can trace this women's evolution all the way back to Paige. She was literally one of the first women to come from NXT that was actually credible in the ring, that actually could work and knew what she was doing. And hell, she was only 20 years old at the time. The way that she debuted, winning the title from AJ Lee and all of that. You look at the women's division, even just back a few years ago, it was shit. And Paige really brought that division up. And then with the next group of girls to come in from NXT, the Sashas, the Baileys, the Charlottes, the Beckys, people like that, the women's division has completely taken off. And Paige can be credited for a lot of that. I mean, I cannot begin to tell you how bad I feel for her. I mean, I know I've said some things about Paige in the past. I know I've criticized her for some of the choices that she has made, but I've always wished her the best, and I always hoped that she would get her shit together and get back on track. And here it looks like she finally has. She's returned to the WWE just recently after taking all of that time off, and the women's division is about as good as it's ever been currently in the WWE. She's about to take part in the first ever Women's Royal Rumble. I mean, things are looking good right now for Paige, and for this injury and situation to arise, I cannot be more heartbroken for her. I feel so bad. I'm kind of concerned about Sasha Banks as well. I think Sasha Banks also felt a little bit guilty after this happened, because don't forget, it was Sasha that kicked her in the back. A lot of fans were even giving her shit on social media for that spot, and Paige came to her defense. And now it's a completely different situation. This injury has taken Paige's career away from her. Not that it couldn't have happened another way. I mean, even though that was a really hard, stiff shot from Sasha and Paige landed very awkwardly, it was still a spot and a bump that most wrestlers, male or female, are used to taking, or taking at least bumps that are as hard or stiff as that. This really wasn't that out of the ordinary. So given the vulnerability of her neck and how easily she appeared to get injured here, this was probably something that was going to happen eventually. Maybe even in a weird, crazy way, this was a blessing in disguise. If she wound up taking a pile driver or a botched top rope spot or any other situation where she fell maybe like on her head, it could have been a lot worse. Paige could have wound up in a wheelchair. So, even though this is horribly sad news, and I'm just heartbroken for Paige, in a way, as far as her health goes, this might have been the best way for her to hang up her career, instead of getting really seriously or permanently injured, or paralysis, or any other really serious injury that somebody can suffer that could happen to Paige in the future had this particular incident not happened. So maybe, I'm always a silver lining type of guy, for Paige's health and her life and all of that is concerned, maybe her getting out of the ring is the best thing for her. Otherwise, this could have ended a lot worse for her, especially if she continued to wrestle for another 10 years. Now, this is also just WWE's doctor. Don't forget, WWE is a publicly traded company. They're very concerned with head injuries and neck injuries, and much like the NFL, they're under a lot of scrutiny for this. So much like Daniel Bryan, apparently from the stories that we are reading on the internet, this is WWE's doctors, not all doctors. So it's conceivable that in the future, Paige may be able to get cleared and go wrestle somewhere else outside of the WWE. But a lot of the fans know her from WWE, and that's where Paige made her name. Yes, I know she's worked since she was just 15 years old and all of that, but nobody knew who the hell Paige was until she got to the WWE. So for her to go off now and wrestle independently or whatever, yes, that would be great for her. She's a big name. She'll get a good payday, and help support herself. It could still maybe not be a good decision in the long term for her health and the future, because she is only 25 years old. So she is about as young as they come in the wrestling business. And I think this absolutely sucks for her. So I'm bummed out, but I at least wanted to come up here and talk to you guys about it, see what you thought. What do you think the future holds for her? What is the WWE going to do with her? I would think that WWE is going to do their best to take care of her here, as far as maybe keeping her on as some sort of an on-air personality. Corey Graves is a great example of what can happen when you are told that you can no longer wrestle, but the company wants to give you a chance. And he grabbed a hold of that chance, and he's probably got a job for life now. I remember initially they offered him a 2-year deal, right? And now Corey Graves is somebody that WWE's probably never going to want to let go of. And Paige, maybe they can do something where she can become a manager or a mentor, I would say, to younger girls, but she's already a young girl, so anybody that she manages, chances are they're going to be the same age or older than she is. She could also be maybe a female commentator. We've needed a female behind the microphone for quite some time, I believe. WWE likes to promote how awesome they are with women and equality and the women's division and the evolution and all of that. We don't even have any women's referees except for one, finally, in NXT. Why not put a woman behind the commentary table? I don't know if Paige even has a knack for that. She might not even have it in her to do something like that, but whatever WWE can do to make her some sort of an on-air personality, I think could be in Paige's future. I just don't see WWE saying, your career's over, get the hell out of here, we're releasing you, whatever. I think they're going to do their best to keep an eye on Paige, because don't forget, she's had a traumatic life in the past couple of years, and she's been involved in drugs. She's had 2 wellness policy violations. WWE if they're smart, they need to look at this as a situation where, they got to be careful that this doesn't push Paige over the edge, that she doesn't fall into any sort of depression or turn to drugs and alcohol or anything like that she's had issues with before, because mentally, this has got to take a huge toll on Paige, I would think. I can't imagine what is going through her head right now. I would be absolutely devastated if this was me. If I was a wrestler, or if I was a person that dedicated their entire life to professional wrestling, at age 25, you're told you can't do it anymore, I would be pretty depressed. So Paige, being who she is, I'm just worried for her. So I know Paige isn't listening to this, obviously, but just in case that she is, or somebody that knows her is, please let her know that all the fans have her back. Everybody's going to be there for her with an outpouring of support, I would imagine. I'm sure that she is already getting a shit ton of it on social media as it is. Paige is a stand-up chick, too. I really appreciated the way she defended Sasha Banks after that spot, and I'm sure that Paige will continue to do that. And that's what you have to do in wrestling, because you have to understand that wrestling ain't ballet, and shit like this is going to happen from time to time. Case in point, look at Droz. Droz was paralyzed in a match with D'Lo Brown, and D'Lo Brown almost took it harder than Droz did. Droz was the one coming out and say, hey, chill out, it was an accident, wasn't your fault. This shit happens. But D'Lo couldn't shake the fact that he put this guy in a wheelchair for the rest of his life. So Sasha Banks, even though it wasn't to that extent of Paige, Sasha Banks is going to be feeling a lot of guilt here too. And so I wish both ladies nothing but the best. And hopefully Paige can, move on from this as best she can. I mean, this is very, very, very early in the story here. We just heard about this today, so it's not completely out of the question that maybe down the line, a few months, a year, couple of years, maybe WWE will re-examine her and look at this again, and maybe she can make some sort of a comeback. She's got plenty of time, right? I mean, essentially, Paige could stay out of the ring for 5 years and come back, and she would still be a very young woman. So Paige, maybe, best case scenario, she's out of the ring for a couple of years and she's able to come back or whatever. Maybe she even has another surgery or something. I don't know the details and on the medical description of what's going on with her. So I could be completely wrong there, but given Paige's age and how young she really is, maybe we can see Paige in the ring again in the future. But as it stands right now, it looks like her in-ring career in the WWE is over. And it sucks, man. Totally sucks. Not a good way to start the weekend. But Paige, we've all got your back. I've got your back. Wishing you nothing but the best. Maybe even I'll drop you a line on Twitter here in a minute, just like I'm sure everybody else is. And just keep your head up, girl. Keep your head up. Just go with it. Life is going to throw all sorts of obstacles at you. Your character is based on how you handle these obstacles that are thrown in your way, and this is a big one. And how you handle this is going to really define who you are as a person, I believe, because this is just a horrible situation. I can't even imagine. So at least, as far as her being able to have a paycheck and stuff like that, I talked about that earlier. WWE, I'm sure, is going to take care of Paige, whether it be, downside money or giving her a role on air, on camera. Maybe as the manager of Absolution or a commentator or, I don't know, somebody. I'm sure they can find something for Paige to do. I mean, hell, they just made a movie about her. The timing on this couldn't be worse for poor Paige, and especially WrestleMania time and WrestleMania season. I mean, it's even harder. If maybe if this happened in May or something, it would be something that she could weather. But now, not only does she have to face the fact that her career is over, she's got to watch all of her colleagues and all of her peers work in the first ever Royal Rumble match and coast in to WrestleMania. This is WrestleMania season. It's the most exciting time of the year. Wrestling is huge during the months of January to March, and Paige is not going to be able to be a part of it. So that's a shame. But anyway, I'm going to get out of here. Just wanted to come up and give you guys a few random thoughts on the situation. I feel horrible, and this is depressing the hell out of me. So anyway, like I said, you guys leave me all your comments and thoughts and opinions on this situation below. So you guys have a good rest of your night, and if I don't talk to you again this weekend, have a great weekend. Until next time, peace.